it's Tracey Campbell here today for Confessions of a Paper Addict. Today I'm going to be using the birthday balloons cut files for our March birthday hop. So I hope you can participate, play along with us as we all share a birthday layout with you. Today I have cut the birthday balloons out with my Cameo just in a white cardstock, and I'm going to show you how I back the word birthday. I have selected different pattern paper for a different letter of the word birthday. So all up there's 8 letters and 8 different pattern papers. When I was choosing the pattern papers, I predominantly looked at the colours that I wanted. In the photo I'm using, there's a lot of blue, sky blue, and there's also blue on my daughter's shirt. So I decided I wanted to have a little bit of more blue in some of the pattern papers. So I kind of kept that in mind when I was choosing them, and then just made sure that they all went together. There's also a little bit of purple in a shirt, so I had to make sure there was some purple there too. So what I simply do to back the cut file is I flip it over and I do a trace around on the inside of the cutout with a lead pencil, and then I simply cut it out. Now when I'm cutting it out, I cut it out with about 1 millimetre of the pattern paper from the drawn line. So I'm not cutting exactly on the drawn line, I'm cutting out about 1 millimetre around the outside of it. This just gives me a bit of a lip so I can adhere the glue to the pattern paper and then onto the die cut, or the cut file. I'm now doing the middle, so that in the A there's a little cutout of, you can either have the solid cardstock or the outline. So when you cut the cut file, it comes with both of them as a choice. I've decided to go with the cutout bit, so I just used a glass mat and a Stanley knife, traced around the inside of that cutout bit, and then cut it out and then stuck it down. When I was picking the pattern papers, I was looking at the designs of what was on the pattern papers. I wanted smaller patterns and not so large patterns, so I did keep that in mind too when I was picking the pattern paper. So I was looking at colour that complemented and went together, and I was also looking at smaller patterns. This for the March release for Confessions of a Paper Addict, it all has to do with our birthday. So please have a look at the cut files. There are some incredibly beautiful and cute cut files to choose from. It's all available in the Etsy shop, and at the end of this process video there will be a bit of a surprise, and I'll let you in. There's a bit of a discount at the moment for the birthday month. So if you get in and purchase some cut files, you'll get a discount. So happy birthday, Confessions of a Paper Addict. How exciting. And you get the present. So I'm just going through, backing the letters, looking at the colours on the pattern paper too, because as I said, there was a bit of blue, making sure that I get some of that blue pattern in my letters. So that's why I seem to be, instead of using the edge of the paper like I usually would, I'm positioning the cut file where that blue is. Right. Yep. And just working it out. I do cut out a little, edit out a little bit of me backing, because you really don't want to watch me back all the time. Can get a bit boring, but and there it is, it just jumped there. So now I'm on the last letter of birthday, which is obviously the B, working backwards. And when it came to doing the insert, or the little bit that was missing, the cutout bit from inside the B, I must admit here I had to go and make sure that I had the right one, because one was bigger, and then I realised that it was actually the R. So when you're doing this, if you haven't kept it all together, and make sure that you put aside the bigger insert or the bigger cutout bit for the middle to the R, not to the B's. Just a little tip from me. But I guess it doesn't really matter. You can either have it on the top or the bottom as well. So there we are. There's the word birthday. I am here at the moment and I'm cutting out or poking out the inside. So in a real balloon where you tie it off and it's got the little knot on the end, my Cameo knife was a little bit blunt, so I've just changed the blade, and so it didn't poke out that centre. So what I've realised after I've backed all the letters is that centre of the knot was cut out on some of them and not the others, so I poked them out. The ones that didn't go out properly, I used my knife, and then I backed the knot in the same colour as the letter. There's the photo I'm using, and as you can see, a lot of blue in it, so hence why I wanted to put some more extra blue. So looking at the photo, I actually noticed that the strings in the balloons that my daughter was holding seemed to hang down and catch my eye. So I thought I'd use that as a bit of an inspiration. So I decided to grab the fringing scissors and thought I would fringe up some of my photo mat. So I wanted to fringe it and roll it up. So I give it a bit of a spray with a light spray with water. That just helps it to set a little bit more and to roll easier. And I started out with a skewer, but it was too small, so I've gone on to a thicker paintbrush to help with the curling of it. And the paint, if you only just give it a light spray of water, it dries quite quickly. I've decided now that I needed more fringing. It really inspired me, so I wanted rainbow fringe this time, but I wanted the matting to run horizontal so that the rainbow was sticking out the edge of the first matting, but I also wanted the rainbow colour at the bottom as well. So I decided that if I ran it with the edges horizontal for the mat, I got the rainbow, so I had to have the edges vertical with the rainbows running across it for the bottom. Kind of a bit hard to explain, but that's why I'm doing this that I'm doing now, so you can see the rainbow effect in the fringing. And just snipping it up with the fringing scissors, and then I'll roll them. It was about this stage I realised too that because the pattern papers most of the pattern papers I'm using are single-sided and have the white, the colouring of the pattern papers weren't really showing. All I was getting is a white fringe. And at this stage I was like, maybe I should flip it over and try again. But I kept going. And you'll see a little bit later on, when I stretch out the fringe a little bit, it pulls the colour back into it. So as I make them extend in only a little bit of a curl, you can see the colours come through. So I cut out 5 of the different pattern papers that I backed the birthday balloons with, and just picked 5 of them and made the fringing a little bit longer in each one so that it looks like a tiered fringe. And just curled them up and sprayed them with water and set them as well. And then I adhere them together so that they all form one curly mat. I really ended up liking how it turned out. A little bit different and a little bit of texture, I guess, on the page and something interesting. And it tied into, as I said, the ribbons on the balloons in the photo. So it's funny where you can draw inspiration from in photos or in the environment around you. And here I am curling it down or flattening it down a little bit so that you can see that colour now. And it's just popping through. Okay, working out where I want the positioning of the word birthday. I know I want to run it across the top. I had lined it up, but I cut it out, so I edited it out so you can't quite see it. And had it in a straight line, but it just didn't look right for balloons. It looked too strict, and yeah, so I kind of overlapped them, doubled them up, put some further away, as in the Y's floating off in the distance. Looking at it now, I'm realising that the birthday's not standing out as much as I wanted to. So I decided to put a little bit of colour onto the background. So I'm using the plastic packaging technique, just spraying a little bit of blue onto the packaging and patting it down. Having a look at that and realised that it was a nice sky blue now, and then decided that, yep, I needed more fringing. So I've just fringed up probably about 3 inches up the side of the cardstock on the corner and just rolling them up, giving some more fringing there, and this time it's just going to be white fringing, and I'm going to poke a little bit of one of the pattern papers out as the corner behind the fringing. And then just added a little bit more and staggered it down so that it doesn't all look the same, so it's all different lengths fringing. And I've picked a butterfly pattern paper and rainbow butterfly, so it's got quite a bit, it's got all the same colours in. It was used on the letter R as well when I was backing the R. So just one of the pattern papers that I thought would look quite cute, and just, yeah, sticking it all together, lining it up, and then playing with the fringing a little bit more. And adding a little bit more of the blue and some splatters as well. Just giving it blue across the page. Now I've decided that I liked the butterflies poking out from the corner, so I was going to add some butterflies to my layout as well. So I literally just grabbed them and fussy cut that whole sheet, what was left of the sheet, fussy cut all the little tiny butterflies out. There was just something about them that they were screaming out that they needed to be added to the layout. So there I go. There's a stack of the little butterflies. And just now working out what I was doing, I decided that I needed a little bit of height on to my photo. So I add some foam, three-dimensional foam behind it, so it's got a bit of depth, and then I've just adhered it to my page. So I actually didn't show you adding the foam, but there's definitely foam to that to pop it up off the page. Playing with the lettering again and working it out, and this time I'll just position them once again overlapping, and I'm using three-dimensional tape on a couple of the letters but not all of them, so that it looks like they're actually pop some letters. So the I and the D I've used quite a thick three-dimensional tape. For the Y, the A, the R and the T, I've used a flatter three-dimensional tape, so not as thick as the I and the D. And then the B and the H, I've left them just with normal tape so that they're flat on the page. So there's 3 different layers in the birthday title. Right, so I've really liked how it's come out, and now I've decided that I'm going to put the butterflies on. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the colour of the butterfly that I've cut out, and I'm matching it to the birthday word, but a similar colour to, I guess, the colour that is most represented in the letter is the colour I'm putting next to it with the butterfly. So say for example the Y, so the word today is a reddy colour, so I'll put a red butterfly there, and the backing of behind the word the Y today is purple, so I'll put a butterfly of purple colour there. So very similar, and just kind of sticking them down with a bit of glue, and I put the glue mainly in the middle where the body is, and then I bent the wings up so that they had a bit of dimension to them as well. So just popping them around, and then adding the leftover ones of random colour around the page to finish it off. Flattening the colours, making sure it's all poking through, and looking at it and wondering if I've finished. Have a bit of a tidy up and a bit of a fussy, making sure one of the pattern papers wasn't showing through enough, the one with the blue hearts, so I put a little bit of tape underneath it and stuck it down so that it was a little bit flatter. Right, so now I've got a gold glitter pen. So with the gold glitter pen, I'm just doodling around the edges because I felt with the white cardstock and the butterflies and the balloons floating, it felt like it was all going to float away. So I've just gone through and just sketched around the outside a couple of times very roughly, and then added a few squiggles, dots and hearts around the edges. And really liked how it's turned out. Decided that I needed a little bit of extra colour in the strings of the birthday balloons. So I'm just popping a bit of scrap card behind the strings hanging down, and I'm just using the gold glitter pen to go over the strings just to make them stand out a little bit more. Just doing that roughly. So just finishing off doing the trimming. And at this stage I've realised that I'd like to add a little bit of journaling, and decide I'm going to pop it over just above where I did the corner fringing. So I'm just going to use that gold glitter pen. It's a Jane Davenport gold glitter pen, and it's quite nice, very vibrant colour. Yeah, just quirky and cute. Just sticking down those strings to make sure they stay in place. Kind of lined it up so if some of the balloons were together, that the strings would overlap instead of them all just hanging singly down on the page. And just making sure it all sticks down. So basically just finishing off with the journaling now. And I said every birthday you pick a theme. This year you wanted a Paw Patrol and balloons. With that cheeky grin, how could we say no? So just something simple, and to remind her of what's going on in this layout. I'm just adding a pink glitter pen lines underneath it, and there it is, finished. Really like how it's turned out. It's quite cute, quite cheerful and bright for a birthday celebration. Love the title. I really enjoyed how it turned out and what it looks like. And it is going to be one of those cut files that I use repetitively, I think, because it's just a fun one to have in the stash. And there you are. Thank you for joining me. I hope I inspired you a little bit to grab a cut file and line up some different pattern papers. And now here's for your birthday present from us, from Confessions of a Paper Addict. We're celebrating our second birthday, and you get a whopping 30% off. So make sure you go to the Etsy store and buy up big for the birthday. And I'll see you soon. Bye.